Chinese diesel heater into a Volkswagen Caddy, that is a new one for the channel. We have installed plenty in bigger vans, but not one into a Caddy. It's quite a small heater. I'm not sure where it's going to go. Maybe we'll wedge it in a glove box. Let's get into it. If you've seen previous videos, you'll know I love the cold. I love the winter. No, it's freezing, it's horrible, it's cold. I feel for you guys who live in some cold country, and you postmen who walk round in the winter with your shorts on, have a word. Anyway, diesel heater, she's a cheapie. 60 quid less, Rowan, 55 squids. 50 buckaroonies for the whole kit, and this one's come with the silicone gasket. Some of them, the cheaper ones, they come with the black gasket that's made of a different material, and it ends up smelling of like burnt rubber. They don't catch on fire, but they do smell a little bit. This one, for the money, has come with a silicone gasket. It's got all the kit. This ain't a review. It's not a paid promotion. It's got all the kit, all the whatnots, all the doodads, all the good stuff. I will put a link in the video description. I've got one of these in my T5. Brilliant. Straight on to the Caddy. This is a maxi. It's been on the channel before. It's Rowan's one. We've got an idea. It's going to go under the rear foot passenger back compartment, Dewberry Firkins. If you had a Touran, you've got footwells. Well, the Caddy has got the same footwells, but it's got extra metal over the top. Well, it's going under there, so I need to whip the seat out. Let's get the seat out and have a better look. DPF delete, EGR delete? No, because that's illegal. But there is no laws on a seat delete. We got a world's first seat delete here on the channel. We're just going to put a bucket in. Oh, there is loads of room. Come and have a look. Right, let's have a better look. So there's an amp in the way. I'm just going to drill it straight through the top. Nope. He tells me that's the sub as well. I bet I can fart louder than that sub, Rowan.
It's actually very good.
Is it actually?
It's not like one of those 1,000-watt make your windows vibrate.
But it gives you a bit of kick.
Yeah, a bit of tickle. That's what
So you recommend to anyone at home about the In-Phase USW 300?
Yes, yeah, it is good. Honestly.
How much was it?
Can't remember. I bought it about 3 years ago.
That'll do. Nice. Anyway, we're not here for a sounds install. Plan is to put the heater in the back there. But I had a thought, and obviously the outlets are on the bottom of the diesel heater. So first of all, your initial thought is you're going to face it downwards. But if you look under the motor, go under any rock, any speed bumps or something like that, there is danger of ripping off the pipes and you're not having a good time. You can mount these heaters on their side like that. So if I flip reverse Dewberry Firkin 180 twin turbski, that is going to sit like that on the back wall. So then there's no danger of ripping the pipes off from underneath, going over bumps or anything. And I believe it should fit right in the back there. Let me get the metal plate, draw some stuff and work it out. Wherever the holes line up, they did. That is my thought process. This is an ABS cable and it is close. And I spent a bit of time working out the orientation with the heater because the handbrake cable's here and we don't want to try bolting the heater down and then the handbrake cable foul the plastic of the heater, because that will then wedge the fan in the heater and you'll get errors. I might have to do something with this cable. I might have to relocate it a bit. It might be okay there. I don't know, but I'm going to massacre a couple of these holes a bit bigger and we'll see how it fits. But I believe that's about where it needs to be. Well, the heater's installed and it went in nicely. I did take a few shots. Everyone likes a picture. So the holes, drilled them nicely. I did have to wallow one or two out ever so slightly, but they come out nicely. Looks quite professional, in fact. And then I did use the metal plate that comes in the kit, but I cut the metal plate down so it sat better. And the reason I fitted it, some people say it's a heat soak plate. I don't know, but it's on. Bolted it up with the 10 mils, put the studs in, happy days, all looks good. With the diesel pump wire, I ended up making the most of the ABS sensor that's really close, and there is a little nipple on that grommet. So I poked the wire through it, cut a little slit in the grommet, and now the pump for the diesel heater is in a grommet nicely. It's quite nice actually. We're now dropping the tank to do a proper install. On the inside of the petrol cap there is a little plastic grommet thing. Take that out of the way, there's two 10mm nuts. There is then a T20 or a T25 for the fuel filler up the back. We've got some 13mm nuts. I told Rowan to make sure you haven't got much fuel. There's two tank straps. Just crack them off. Oh, how good's that? There's actually a cutout in the heat shield for the socket to go through. Very nice, VW. So now we're going to drop the tank. I'm going to take the fuel sender out and I'm going to drill a hole in it. Some people go into the fuel lines and tee off them and do this and do that. No, I'm not risking it. I'm going to drill a hole in the tank instead. Like that. Hopefully it's not heavy. Hopefully there ain't much fuel. This is a fail-safe. Even though it's turned out that the fuel tank is right where the ramp leg is, or the ramp. And it's going to roll down. Oh, brother Keith. Bit of wood there. Right. Here we go. One. Ready, Rowan? You got it? Oh my God, it's not heavy. You got like 50p's worth of fuel in there, you tight git.
Sorry, I'll run it down for you.
I'm only messing. Now, obviously, you can't let it drop all the way down. Oh, strap got ya. Because there's cables and hoses, so be careful. You got that on your own, Rowan. You're well strong. What's happening? What's not happening? What's going on? Rowan's getting his eye taken out. Health and safety forth. All right, well, it needs to go that way then. Oh, yeah. We're on that. Is that loose? That is loose. Yeah. All right, well, you go around the other side. Safety squints is what you need. What we've got there, grommets. Yeah. Let's get the tank down. There's a couple of hoses. You need to pop them out the clips, snip straight through the wires, all the hoses, job done. Didn't drop the tank down all the way in the end because it's a bit of a shimmy-R, shimmy-A. We lowered it enough, unclipped the two fuel lines, unclipped the wire in, and this is what I've done. I did chop that up. That comes out of the kit. I chopped it up, and on the top of the Caddy fuel sender, there is an extra nipple that isn't used. So I carefully, well, I say carefully, I used a grinder and I shaved it down until a hole appeared. We then poked this pipe all the way down to the bottom. I've left it an inch off the bottom so your diesel heater will never empty your tank and then you break down. I did then cable tie it, give us a little pivot towards. I've then cable tied it to the fuel line, bent it into a strategic shape, and on the top, for an extra layer of sealage, I've got some, what I believe is I know it's fuel hose, and I believe it's 4mm silicone. I then moistened the tube, and then I slid the silicone hosing down. That's popped over the grommet, and it's sealed up on the pipe, so no fuel's going to leak. I believe that's good enough. We're going to give it a quick clean, drop it back in the tank, and hopefully that works. You happy with how it looks?
Yeah, it's mint.
It's pretty good, huh? It's a shame they didn't have a pipe. That is for a secondary heater. So in the Touran they have a water heater, Webasto water heater, and they go to that. Right. It's a shame they didn't have a pipe. Could have probably done something a bit better, but why? Why waste any more time? No squinting. She's minting. going back together, and one thing I want to show, because it might not be self-explanatory, you do put the rubber back in the tank before putting the level sender in. If you put the rubber back on the sender and then try wiggle it in, it doesn't happen. So you put the rubber back in the tank, make sure it's sat all the way down, and that's in. And you need to remember, let me just check, the orientation of it, i.e. clocking it left or right. I remember that there's a bulky bit on it and that was facing my Caddy, and I remember the plug, so that pipe will clip on, that will clip on. And then I didn't show this earlier in the video, but it is basically just a big screw thread. Sometimes you go backwards until it clicks, and then because you don't want to cross thread it. So take your time. And what I did do, I bent the new fuel line facing the diesel heater. I believe that's the correct way, because now we can go with them fuel lines and the fuel, it could be here. Yeah, happy days. That's facing the diesel heater. I'm going to screw this up. I did use one last top tip. You know, we like a top tip. To unscrew it, there's obviously a special tool to grab that, but I just got a flathead, not a sharp one, because you might cut through it. And carefully undo it that way. And I will do the same when tightening it up. Oh yeah, let's get the tank back on, plumb in the rest of the hose in. Hopefully it works. It better do, it is Chinese. We've got the fuel pump there. I do need to pull the cable back through the grommet a little bit. The hose come out nicely. We've got the intake pipe, comes with cable ties, so we've used them, right? And if we look, it is close to the heat shield. Now, I could possibly chop that exhaust down another, because I did cut some off it. I cut 20mm off it. I could probably cut another 20mm off it, and the heat shield might not touch. You can get little elbows online, but that is what we've come up with for today. The exhaust pipe, let me pan round. Check this out in the Caddy. There's actually a notch there and a notch there. We're going to get another bit of exhaust. The silencer's going to go there, and then the other bit of pipe is going to go out the side. Nice little cutout. And when you're installing your diesel heater, you need to make sure your exhaust is flowing downwards. Any condensation can flow downwards. Don't go up, it's got to go down. So we are all in. The wiring isn't the prettiest under the seat, but Rowan installed his sub. He's happy with spaghetti junction, so I'll leave it. He can tidy it up himself. We've got the seat in, and we have got the heat outlet here. He's a big guy. He has his seat all the way back, so that's a problem. We might have to chop, or he might have to chop, the centre console and have it coming up through the handbrake shifter. And for power supply, I normally have a secondary battery under the passenger seat, but he's bought a portable power supply. A bit like, is it Anchor, the posh ones, Rowan? It's a portable power station, 12 volt, 240. Rowan's got one of them instead of a secondary battery. He's going to charge it off the van, but he says it should run for up to 60 hours. Let's turn it on. Press and hold. Goes straight to number 3. So if you get in, it goes straight to number 3. It will take a little bit of time to prime the fuel from the tank all the way through to the heater. So if you fire your heater up, it comes up with error, fire it up a couple more times and it all should be good. Let's see how it goes, and let's see how his Ling Long power supply holds up. It is the following day. We finished the diesel heater install. We did have to fire it up 4 times. There is meant to be a start-up procedure where you can pump the fuel manually, but this is the older controller, so we had to just turn it on and off a few times to get the diesel up to the heater, but now it's on. And I can't even hear the diesel pump. Those modern ones are a lot quieter, aren't they? So we do have a question. Oh, it is nice in here. But Rowan, I can smell diesel. Now, I need your advice, guys. Let me just put the camera down. I've seen a lot of posts online and you can mount a diesel heater on its side. But apparently the glow plug needs to be at the top. I don't know what way round the glow plug is, because there is a tiny puddle of diesel running and I can smell diesel. We need to check whether the glow plug's at the top. A bit like when you put a brake caliper on, the nipple or the bleed nipple always needs to be at the top. I wonder if we need to 180 it. Have any of you guys at home ever mounted a diesel heater on its side? Because we have got a tiny puddle of diesel. It does work well, but obviously we don't want to be leaking diesel in the cab or smelling it. Let me pull the cover off and have a butcher's. Yeah, so I've pulled the cover off and we can see the glow plug is at the bottom. And can you see the drip? That's leaking quite a lot. So we need to flip reverse at 180 so the glow plug is sat at the top, because we don't want it dripping inside. It smells. I don't think it's a fire hazard. The outside of the heater isn't hot enough to ignite diesel. It either needs compression or serious heat, but that is not ideal. We've got the diesel heater out and I have stripped it down. It was full of diesel. That's not diesel dripping, it's brake cleaner. And I didn't want it to smell. I've installed a diesel heater and the last thing I want it to smell of is diesel inside his little caddy. That is not professional. So I've stripped it right down to see if I could see any loose bolts. And I have tried all the bolts to see if they were loose. No loose ones. The glow plug, the wire doesn't come off, so you get a special socket with a groove in it. It's a 12mm. If you've got an old socket, you can cut a groove in it and you'll be able to test the glow plug. I'm not a snap-on tool fiend, but it seems to be the only 12mm I've got a snap-on. I'm not cutting a groove in it, so I've ordered a glow plug socket to have in my inventory. I've tried to see if I can turn the glow plug crudely with a screwdriver and it doesn't move. But I would like to test it at a later date. But even when it's in the van, we can still pop the cover off and I can try it when the socket gets here. It's nice and clean, doesn't smell of diesel. It's just now stinking of brake cleaner, but that will dry very quickly. So when I said it wasn't flammable with diesel, it's now flammable with a whole can of brake cleaner pumped over it. To clean it properly, that is why I've stripped it to pieces. Otherwise it would have stunk for months and I do not want that. Let me show you what's going on. No, can't smell diesel, just maybe I'll blow out in there. Let me get the Mickey Mouse. Team U Special blower mode activated. Sweet. To assemble these, you might even be able to do it without popping the front cover, because that was a bit of a wiggle to get off the front cover. Loads of trim tools on each flat surface, and then it popped out. Oh yeah, so let me quickly show you. If you can imagine, let me put the rubber back on. We had it mounted that way, so any fuel flowing straight in the burn chamber, the glow plug's on the bottom, and if it wasn't 100% seal, air couldn't get out, but fluid, diesel, did a little bit. So if you stick it that way, the whole burn chamber now has time to burn the fluid, the diesel, so it doesn't flow straight out the bottom. So we've now got to mount it that way. I will have to re-drill the one hole for the diesel inlet, but the rest of them are all the same ish. We'll make it happen. We need to stick it back together, bolt it in facing the other way, and test again. Such a simple design. I absolutely love these. It's the first one I've ever seen diesel pour out of, but it is the first one I've ever mounted on its side. So let me assemble when it goes back together. Let's stick it back in the van the other way round. Heater's in, we've flipped it 180. It's been on for about 20 minutes and there is no sign of drippage. Really happy. As I say, if anyone's had any experience laying diesel heaters on their side, drop a comment down below. It makes perfect sense that the glow plug needs to be at the top. All seems to be well. I'm going to let Rowan chew on it for a couple of days and see how it is before posting the video, because I don't want to post anything and it not be right. Everything seems to be good under it, and listen how quiet the diesel pump is. I can't even hear it and I'm right next to it. Yeah, very nice. Well, it's been about 3 days, 4 days since the last shot, and I can report Rowan has used the heater for many hours. Absolute zero issues, and definitely no diesel leaking out the glow plug. So if you're going to mount it on its side in the same location, make sure you have it with the glow plug at the top. Makes perfect sense. It is the first time I've mounted one on its side, so now we know. Yeah, went to plan very well. Really happy with the install. Rowan's really happy with it, and that's the main thing. He's a friend, he's a customer, so all good on that. One thing that I briefly mentioned was his power supply. I can't remember the brand, but he hasn't charged it. He's used the heater loads. He's fired it up and turned it off, because when you first start a diesel heater, they draw a lot of amps, and again when you turn them off. He's fired it up, started it, used it loads of times, and his power supply has only dropped 20%. I've never owned one of these power supplies, so I didn't know much about them, so I didn't speak about them much. But it's done all that work, and it's used very little power. I will put a link to his power supply in the video description, because I am impressed with it so far. I normally install a secondary battery in a van, but he went down that route for it to be portable. Ooh, so I will put a link in the video description. That oil hasn't been changed in a while. Not very nice. Big thank you to everyone who's bought something on the merch store. We have fresh hoodies, beanies. Don't want to make a mess. New key rings and smellies on there. Check it out. I will put a link in the end screen of this video. I do appreciate it. It goes such a long way. And big shout out to my missus. She does everything to do with it. I buy it all. She does all the posting. She goes to the post office with like 2 Sainsbury's bags full of merch to post. I couldn't deal with I haven't got the patience for it, basically. Big shout out to you, to my missus. And if you've received anything and you get a little envelope, you get a little posh DTE TV logo stamped on it. It's quite nice. It's quite nice, actually. Yeah, thank you. Don't want to make a mess on the fresh hoodie. That is black as your hat. A few of you have asked about the silver Caddy for the new build. That's coming soon. I know the sun's shining today, but don't let it fool you, it's freezing. I'm the same as anyone, or the same as any of you at home. It's hard to find enthusiasm in January, in the cold, to start on a massive project. And I don't like to start anything until I'm ready for a shreddy. We've also got another van over there, a friend of mine. That's in for a lot of work. Full paint job. Oh, I've also picked up, can't even see it now. I've also picked up a load more doors for the T5-1. So I've got 5 new doors. I have got a video short on that actually. Set off quite early. Got a video on that. It's all good, so they'll be coming very soon. I'm just playing with this Caddy today. 2 litre, all the good stuff. Service and MOT, nice and simple, nice and easy. And, oh, nearly forgot. What are you guys doing this Sunday, 7 o'clock? Well, last Sunday, it was a bit last minute, I'd done a podcast with RMS Diagnostics. We done it up his place on his channel. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I enjoyed it, Bob enjoyed it, all his subscribers enjoyed it. Shout out to any of you who come over to Bob's channel to support me. Bit of encouragement, bit of enthusiasm, appreciate it. How's it going, Pinch?
Morning.
Oh yeah. This Sunday, 7 o'clock, will be on my channel, the Bob and Dob podcast. Come over, Q&A, ask us absolutely anything. Bob's a clever geezer. He does the wires, the stuff I don't like. So yeah, this Sunday, 7 o'clock, we'll be live. Anyway, Andy's nearly here. Plenty of other bits to do. Finish up this service, MOT, and then we need to pull one of the projects in. But that is a video for another day. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out.